have a few comments I would like to make today. I'd like to start off with a comment that a special YouTuber made to me about 3 months ago. And she stated to me that people would not accept her doing a live about foster care in the United States. And she said society in general would not accept the fact if she did a live on foster children because of her background. And I've thought about that for the last 120 days or so. And then I watched all the judgment and the continual harassment of children online from different YouTubers. And I think that this is an appalling belief that someone would look at themselves and say, hey, I can't do it because no one would accept it. And then I look at Sebastian Rogers' case. And I see all the guardians doing different things for the benefit of Sebastian. I honestly believe that all three of the guardians are doing good things or trying to establish good foundations to find Sebastian. But like all of us, mistakes have been made over the last period of time. We have Mr. Rogers trying to establish a bill which he wants made into a law. But Mr. Rogers, I need to express something to you. When individuals look at that bill, and then you are asking that bill to be made for all children across the United States, to establish a solid foundation for CPS to be like the databases that the FBI and local law enforcement and every Bureau of Investigation in every state to have. I have to ask you this. I think it's a good idea. I think you have a wonderful idea there. I think it should have been established a long time ago. But when you're asking someone to bring a bill into a law, what you need to look at is what you're bringing to the table. It's not just the fact that Sebastian's missing. It's not just the fact that CPS reports are held in different states right now. You're looking at the characteristics of your own behavior and who you're associated with. I've noticed that you went silent in some ways recently. But my question is this. If you want the general public of the United States to back you on this bill, even people who oppose you, then would you not state to yourself and believe that you need to have better moral compass so that the next generation of lawmakers can amend that bill and add more to it? That's just a question for you. And then I look at both Mr. Rogers and Chris Proudfoot. I don't know all the history between these two men. There's probably hostility there from years gone by. But you both have stated real angrily towards each other nasty comments on YouTube. And both of you have established ideals that not enough is being done. So I ask you if you both, and I believe that you both have worked around your own community, your environment, society, speaking out, doing searches, financial, everything to look for Sebastian. But sometimes it takes bigger character in the long run to state, hey, I'm sorry. I've heard Chris Proudfoot state that he respects Mr. Rogers as Sebastian's father. And I've heard Mr. Rogers thank other individuals for helping find his son. I have never heard any of the guardians thank each other for looking for Sebastian. Before YouTube, before all the news channels, before all the lies and the hysteria and the drama, guess what? It was those three guardians with Sebastian. No one else. Their lives were private. But when they came to the public spectrum, their whole lives were spread out before us. And some of it may have been lies. They were angry, they're upset. But if they take a look at each other, all three of them, putting aside marriages, putting aside other individual children involved in the family unit, putting aside all YouTube gossip, bullshit drama, lies, characteristics assassination, and you just look at Sebastian in general. The question is, if Sebastian were to appear today, would there be any type of unity within that nucleus family? Would anyone on either side, the dark side or Sebastian's army or the green side, would any of them be able to come forward and say, hey, I know I participated, but I want to apologize? Maybe not just to the guardians, but especially to Sebastian. So I ask you, if Seth Rogers gets a bill passed, is there going to be unity among the guardians for that? Or do you look at Seth Rogers and state to yourself, he's doing it for himself? And I'll tell you why I bring this question up. When you're looking at passing a bill that will affect every family in America or every child in America, you must look at this situation as it stands. If the bill passes, is it just to gain Sebastian's name on a bill? Or do you honestly believe that all CPS reports should be made available in every state to show the abuse that the child, each individual child, receives? If you believe the latter, then you push all children equally, even if it's your own child that you're trying to establish the bill's name with. Because if not, then it looks from the outside looking in that it is an attention getter, even though it's a really good idea to have CPS national. So you have to think about whether you need to change behaviors in order to establish the respect that Sebastian's name has lost. When you look at Sebastian's name, his character, and the legacy of his name right now, without pulling in all the medical knowledge or what we may know, what you're looking at is a young man's name who has been tarnished by both sides. He's been called defective. He's been called a spirit of the underbelly of Lucifer. He's been accused of having sex with his mother, getting his mother impregnated. So I ask you as adults, and all of us think that we're responsible, what part has every person that is involved in this situation played in running down that young man's name? What legacy is Sebastian's name going to be associated with if that bill was passed? Think about that for a minute. All those people who ran down Sebastian's name, and his family is trying to establish a bill for his name. Now, if the bill, it's a good bill, if it passes, are people going to fight against that bill because of what others have done to Sebastian's name? Or are they just going to accept the fact that that bill is for every child, and they're going to forget what happened to Sebastian's name when he went missing? I'm sorry to say that a lot of individuals are going to take the second way out. And they're going to fight against that bill if it goes nationally. Because you cannot abuse a young person's name and accuse that individual of crimes such as raping his mother, impregnating his mother, stating that he's from Lucifer, making fun of his disability. You cannot do that and then come right forward with righteousness and say, this bill is based on this child, and we loved him enough to make this bill. It doesn't work that way. The founders of the bill must have established characteristics that reflect upon the protection of the child in every mannerism. Okay? When the child is missing, individuals, guardians, those that are close to him, must establish that his name that his parents gave him is valued. His name is a reflection of who he was, is, and may be in the future. His name should be guarded, should be a reflection of his accomplishments, his self-esteem. And I believe that all of us should be reflective of his name. I further believe in the Summer Wells situation. The same thing has been done to Summer Wells. 2 months ago, a YouTuber stated that Summer Wells is a summer sausage. I do not find that a very nice comment. I do not even think that that should be done to any human being. When you look at both Summer and Sebastian's cases, you often wonder if these young people are dead. You often wonder how much suffering they had in their previous lives before they went missing. And then some people have the audacity to take away their respect from their names. So you look at yourselves with the 2 missing individuals, and then you go to YouTube, and then you have a YouTuber who's saying, no, I can't do that for foster kids. I can't give out information because people don't look at me that way. I'm not a help channel. It's not that that person's not responsible enough to provide information, because I believe she is. But as you sit and you look around and you notice the continued abuse people are associating with victims of crimes, what do you think as a moral society? Well, we're just going to bring out some more SA and DB abuse on various people so that we can get our ratings up, so that we can get a click, so that we can get a membership. That's wrong, folks. It's wrong to rehash people's personal trauma. And as individuals, many of you state, oh, I know Christ. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I will tell you this much. When you inflict pain upon someone who has already had trauma in their life, and if any of them have to go back and relive that trauma and receive therapy again, you're not living the life or examples of Christ. You're not even living good vibes in this universe, because you're causing harm upon another human being. For months, I've stated, and others have stated, hey, look at the abuse of children on YouTube or any social media platform. And it still continues. And the adults that are doing this believe themselves to be victims because of their children's abuse, and yet they're bringing the abuse upon themselves. You know, sooner or later, something's going to have to break. And I hope that it's not a child, but it may be. And then when something breaks, and if it's negative, if it costs harm or it costs a death because of threats made openly online, then we're all going to sit back and we're going to say, oh, I told you so. With the law enforcement viewing these particular events from every source there is on YouTube, and they have done nothing, and then a life is cost of a child or an adult, and nothing is done, is law enforcement, are they held responsible for the lack of responsibility of not taking any threats seriously? I don't know. I think the lack of arrogance within the police departments involved in all this bullshit leaves their hands tied sometimes. But I find it appalling that as a general population, that we do not recognize the own harm we're doing to the children, disabled veterans, and disabled Americans in general. But if you have this example on a social media platform for entertainment, then imagine how bad you can be in real life. We all watch various things on YouTube. We all have our own philosophies, our norms. As adults, we bring background knowledge to every platform. Not all of us share all of our experiences, but we should have a moral compass in the establishment of setting every child up for success, having worthiness of every child, having compassion for every victim of any type of crime. Now, many of us will look at someone and judge their character according to what they have done. But I am a firm believer that people can change, even if they lie in some of the strangest places in this world, not just on a YouTube channel. Some people look you straight in the eye and lie to you. Or you'll ask them an important question, and they look at you across from you and they say, "Why would you ask that question?" So my comments today, they're very specific. When we're looking at the children, and when you're looking at changing laws or bringing a bill in, or if you're looking at going to a gathering or of individuals in any part of the United States or the world in general, you step back and you look at those involved, and sometimes you just go to get footage to add to documentation. And I think that everyone should be aware. You know, we get so compliant with our lives that we think that other people are not watching us in our real lives. We never pay attention to where we're going, who may be there watching us. And a lot of people do not understand that information is gathered not by some YouTubers. Some people that, they have to go to work. They have to fulfill their obligations. But they will pay someone else to find information out about you. The price is high to find out information about others. And you say, why would someone do that? Facts, data, and information are valuable. They're worth more than money. They establish a guideline for the truth. And often, we do not have to use that truth on a social media platform. You gather the evidence, and when the time comes for an opposition move or the strongest belief that you have, you will use every resource that you paid for to make sure that your point is made. Unlike most people, money is not my highest priority in life. The highest priority I have in life is character, respect of others. But I have a real problem with individuals who come out and state things that's not true, that you know nothing about. A few months ago, someone came to Texas, and they wanted to know information. This is just an example about Lady Bird Lake murders. Nothing was given to that individual because people in Texas, the group especially in Austin, working on that particular situation of the 23 people, they're closed. You don't hear a lot on YouTube about Lady Bird murders. So that individual didn't get much information. It wasn't exploited. And that individual was more or less told, hey, move along. We're not going to allow this to go all over YouTube with lies and exploit the families. Or exploit the police in Austin. So that was closed down real quick. So there are communities throughout the United States where the communities will take care of their own concerning murders, missing individuals within their state or within their communities. Some people are closed about that. And you have to give that region respect. So my final comment is this. If you're going to try to promote back or have a solid foundation in an individual's name, make sure that you establish characters of yourself that are responsible to reflect the individual's name that you're trying to promote. And when you look at yourself and you have, I call it, there is a psychological disease called ego syndrome. But that's not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to is just having a high ego status that you're above everyone else. When your ego is so high that you can just downplay a lot of people and you have to be the center of attention, or you have to comment about the downfalls of others so much that you have become a problem, then you need to look at yourself and say, I have a problem. When many people have stated in lives, in comments, in posts, in debates, that you have done something wrong to a family, when you have done something wrong to a missing person or a person that had abuse, and then you look straight into a freaking camera and you say, I don't understand why I should apologize, then you need to take a look at yourself because your ego's too big. And then you have the problem and questionability of individuals who have participated in some farce activities, ranging from all the way down in Corpus Christi, all the way up to the central United States. And you look at that individual and you listen to other people, month after month after month, and you know wrong was done to many individuals that we know are dead. And all of a sudden, that person's gone. Or three people are gone from the situation. And you know there's wrong. You know you have some proof. And that person knows it. They know you know. They're waiting for the move. Sometimes you have to wait a long time when it comes to a victim who was murdered. And you have to have enough evidence, so much evidence. It's not just about stealing money. It's about the establishment of what happened, what was done over and over again. You have to establish a pattern of behavior. But that will come. So I ask all of us once again to stop harassing children on the web, to find other things to focus on. Foster care, runaways, victims' rights. You can look in your own state. You can find victims. You can go to the government website And you can talk about the advocacy within each state. Do I believe that one person can make a rippled effect for many? Yes, I do. I honestly believe that so many people have become compliant with their own self portrayal that they have forgotten what society really is. Society is the establishment of a group of individuals within a community that protects their own community. And they do this by sharing respect, common courtesy, and living examples that will reflect upon themselves and their children, and they establish a foundation of character. If you are unable to share that, do that, complete it, or live it, then there is a problem. So, I wish you all the well, and I don't really care whether people believe in what I do. I don't. It doesn't matter to me. What does matter is respect for the missing individuals' names. Respect that will be reflected upon them. If they're dead, are we going to leave a legacy of disgust upon individuals' names who are missing? And if we continue to allow individuals to relive their trauma, to relive their abuse, to tell them that they're unworthy, we don't give a shit whether they have to go back through therapy. What kind of people are we? If a YouTuber is told, hey, you're a freaking loser, and you better not speak about foster children or missing children, what have we established for that YouTuber? Oh, we're going to make you pay because you have previously been a criminal? I hate to tell you, many criminals have better knowledge, street knowledge especially, have more compassion than regular people because they've had to humble themselves. They've learned from their mistakes. So anyone that tells a felon or a criminal that they're not worthy to do a broadcast or to look in to do a live about foster care, missing children, or provide a phone number, just a phone number, 1-800-MISSING, for missing teenagers on the road, that's some sorry reflection of your own lack of security. And to rehash the same stuff over and over again is kind of sad. So I think as a society, we need to look at ourselves on these social media platforms and take away our arrogance and think about the children, the victims of abuse, and the fact that even though we all may not like each other, that some individuals have good ideas and we should back them, whether we like them or not. Anyone who has a good idea that will protect many should look at themselves and say, hey, someone's telling me something, or many people are telling me something that I may need to change to be a reflection upon what I'm trying to do. So we have the 3 guardians of Sebastian. All 3 of them support the Americans Missing Children Foundation. They do. All 3 of them do. They've all spoke about it. They've all encouraged participation in it. So when you look at all 3 of them, their unit as a family, respect should be given to those members. But at the same token, we shouldn't be so judgmental upon them And I am. I'm judgmental. But we should look at them, even though some things have been really ugly towards Sebastian. I'm really judgmental about that. We should look at them and state they're trying. Okay? They love Sebastian. But they're adults. And even though there's been a lot of threats and doxing and all these things, you don't have to forgive that. And there are consequences to doing that. There are. But you look at the foundation of what they're really trying to do. So I give kudos to all three of them for backing Americans Missing Children Foundation. But as for Sebastian, I think more positivity should be for his name, Summer's name, the Fitz young adult who's missing up near Knoxville. And I think all those individuals who have stated such comments as Summer Wells' sausage or Sebastian he had sex with his mother. Were you stating that Sebastian was a rapist? You know, that's a crime. Raping someone's a crime. Look at what you put on his name. But anyway, I ask you to have more kindness in relation to the missing, the murdered, and victims of all types of crimes. And understand that many people watch these YouTube streets and they have had family members who have died. They have lived through this. It doesn't matter if it was 30, 40 years ago. It doesn't matter if it was yesterday. The only difference between a murder that was committed yesterday and one 31 years ago is that you've had more time to experience and gain more knowledge of the system. But no activities that degrade a murder victim, a missing victim, or any victim that was sexually assaulted or had domestic violence done to them. None of that is acceptable behavior. Have a good day, and please try to find unity in protecting our children. Also, please understand that the activities happening in Hendersonville in February, it's not a hate thing. It is a positive, productive challenge that if you're going to try to get a bill through to represent all children in America, then you have to have a reflective idea and persona in your behavior and character to represent all children. You begin that by having the example of respect for that child. You begin by leaving his legacy with productivity, respect, and not to tarnish his name. End of story. That's it. If you cannot respect someone that is missing or that has been murdered, and you continue to state, oh, sexual intercourse with mother, rapist with mother, touched sister, without proof, then you are guilty as the next person. Then you must also understand the strong belief I have that any individual who is a YouTuber should be allowed, with respect, to do a live for missing teenagers or foster care. I do not accept that shit. That's bullshit. Everyone should be considered a member of their own community. Every individual alive is a productive member of their own life and society. And if we cannot accept that as a society or as a nation, then we need to go back and regroup. You all have a good day. Be blessed, but most of all, be safe and be concerned with yourself and one other person. Make that ripple of change with one person. Thank you for watching and reading. Bye-bye.